All right, into our first guest of the morning, which is early. I'm also going to see him later on, actually here in the studio. But look, such an interesting person in the context of you guys and what you're interested in and what we do at the platform. His name is James Lindsay, or Dr. James Lindsay. And I'm going to give you a quick background because if you don't know who James Lindsay is, you damn well should. And people who do know who he is, I have a lot of time for him. James Lindsay is I'm going to call him a public intellectual and American author. And he has fought back against woke, a word he does not shy away from, as we don't hear on the platform. And he did it with a bunch of other free speech experts, including Peter Boghossian, who, of course, we've talked to on this show. They published a series of completely bogus articles on various things like, I don't know, the cultural significance of the penis. And they threw it off to reputable publications that were disappearing down the intersectional decolonisation study rabbit hole. And what do you know, half of them got through to be internationally published. And to my mind, it was one of the most wonderful examples of very cleverly pointing out that the emperor's new clothes of woke are made of nothing. He is visiting New Zealand as a guest of the Free Speech Union, who, as you know, do sterling work in this country to promote rational thought and allow you to have your own conspiracy theories, whack job ideas, or say what you think, which seems to me to be a good way to run a society. As I said, we'll do a filler interview later on, but I wanted to say welcome, a very warm welcome to James Lindsay. He joins us from his, I presume, hotel room in Auckland now. James, welcome to New Zealand. Lovely to have you with us.
Well, thank you very much. It's been very nice so far.
Okay. You come to New Zealand at a time where, man, the world is changing, and a lot of that change being driven from your home country.
Well, yeah, the United States is changing very, very quickly now with the election of Donald Trump. But I think it's an interesting situation because what we're hearing from everybody is, oh, now woke has died, woke is dead, Donald Trump is in power, Donald Trump will stop it. And he's signing order after order after order after order from the Oval Office to try to dent this. And unfortunately, what's happening is that the institutions that have gone woke are digging in their heels, they're entrenching. And so now there's a growing disconnect. What you have is our schools, our universities, our national agencies, like our National Park Service and so on, all going deeper into the woke. You see corporations trying to find ways to rename what they were doing before, but to continue doing it. And meanwhile, I think that this clash is coming for the White House. And I don't know if they quite know how big of a fight they have in front of them. And certainly the American people are about to be in for a surprise, I think.
So we have a situation where the new administration says we're draining the swamp, but the swamp is fighting back quite hard.
Yeah, they have absolutely no interest in giving up the power that they've accumulated over the past, 50 to 75 years. And so they're fighting back, I think, in pretty overt ways with lawsuits and pretty covert ways where, like I said, they're changing the names of the programs and keeping the same people on. This has been something of a scandal where they'll keep the exact same department running with the exact same people, and they just change the director's title so that it no longer reflects DEI or ESG or whichever buzzword the woke use.
Can I tell you, it is having an effect elsewhere in the world. I went to the ARC conference in London recently, and you could see the impact of the change of government in the United States. And here, one of our ruling coalition parties just introduced, it could do more, an anti-DEI or a DEI deconstruction bill for the consideration of Parliament. So what happens in America is, in a cultural sense, spreading around the world. We too are facing resistance, or people who are managing to hide their funding. Oh, no, we were never doing that in the first place. The only way, really, if this is a culture war, James, to win it, is to actually convince the people, if on the woke side of the argument, that they were wrong, isn't it? That no one likes what they're doing and no one believes.
Yes, I think by and large that's what's going to happen, and the vast majority of the woke people are not terribly deeply committed to it. However, there are some, maybe a 10%, maybe a quarter, are very committed to it, and that becomes a difficult challenge. And this is the biggest change, where I said that the Americans think, woke has died, but there's going to be this fight. The fact is, the American people are done with it. The American people are not interested in woke any longer. And like you said, I went to the ARC conference in London as well, and I saw it there, and I see it at home. Uh, People are just kind of done with these speech codes. They're being told how they have to think and what they have to care about and how they have to care about it. They just want to get back to interacting as one individual to another, and where you treat good people well and you treat bad people maybe less well. And you get to choose for yourself based on the contents of character, the output of merit. And I think that this culture shift is going to be, in the long run, the most significant part in pushing back against the woke.
We'll talk longer when you're down in Wellington and you're in the studio with me. I also want to ask you, has the legacy or mainstream news media in America accepted the change that is in progress?
As far as I can tell, they're lost. They seem to have become aware that nobody watches them or believes them anymore, that their credibility is pretty well shot. MSNBC famously let go of their chief critical race theorist propagandist, Joy Reid. So they got rid of her show. Which was, not to sound like President Trump, which was performing terribly. It had terrible ratings, and they got rid of it. But this is kind of across the board. So it feels to me like the mainstream media in the United States is a bit in shock. Podcasts, alternative media have sort of taken the mantle. And that comes with its own benefits, obviously, that the mainstream media can't just lie to us as they have been. So it broadens the conversations, but it comes with its problems as well. These people are often not as well informed as they could be. They come out in the alternative media sometimes. And at other times, as we just saw recently, a few months ago in the United States, with what was called the tenant media scandal, Russia had sent $10 million and bought a bunch of influence through conservative influencers and media personalities, trying to, in their own, according to the Department of Justice report, that they were trying to sow division and discord within the MAGA movement through the influencers. And that was $10 million of Russian money. So you see foreign influence is easy to infiltrate into these circles as well. So there's a very complicated media environment, but the mainstream media is not believable and not credible, and most of the American people just don't pay attention to it now.
Yeah, I don't want to dive down a rabbit hole now, and I know you probably got a bit of jet lag, etc. I'm trying to find out about the work of a group called Internews and Group M in New Zealand, who have entered into some sort of arrangement with some of our major news organisations, which they refuse to answer any questions about. I suspect it is a kind of audit of how woke you are, and then an effective ban by advertisers if you're not woke enough is exercised. Important in the business I run, the platform, and it seems we have been subject to that. Can you spread any light on Internews and Group M?
No, I wish I could. I've not heard of those before. This kind of program has been running all over the West, though. All of our nations, our free nations, are being pressured heavily through advertisers and through these groups. Actually, I do think I've heard of it, but I don't know much about it.
Okay.
And what tends to happen is that the advertisers, and I don't know if this is this group or not, but what the advertisers do, the advertisers are committed in their corporations to their ESG scores, and those ESG scores have everything to do with how those companies are financed, and they are also partially determined by how you interact with the broader media and information environment. And so it's very likely that this is a gigantic propaganda network. Although, like I said, I'm not familiar with it.
Well, it's
I'm
a bit
familiar
like what we have here,
model.
Rainbow Tick, which is an organisation which literally online says, we will certify that you're nice enough to minorities and transgender people and gay people in your business. But if you don't pay us our annual fee to audit and certify you for wokeness, there's an implied threat that they will take you down through social media agitation and cancel your business that way. And it really is. It's kind of like an old mafia protection racket.
That's exactly what it is. The one that we've had to deal with in the United States the most is called the Human Rights Campaign, which of course is global. The Human Rights Campaign publishes a set of numbers that they call equality indices. So you have their corporate equality index, for example, you have a healthcare equality index, you have a municipal equality index, and those indices are designed to determine how well a corporation or a healthcare facility or a city or a county are complying with the LGBTQ style woke rules. And if you aren't complying with those, you'll see all kinds of blowback on your on that score.